Yeah, we've seen the list. We've all seen the list. You know, there's when we talk about the list, anytime someone says the list, there's one thing that always comes to mind. That best rappers. I don't know. Were
Mm,
you there?
yeah, yeah. That's a good reference. That's a
Oh,
very good
bro,
reference.
the list. Hey, everybody, everybody came out to
Mm,
defending themselves. I think there was Vector. There was someone was Ice Prince wasn't on the list. Who's on the list?
yeah.
And
Basically, everyone had to speak up at that point in time.
bro,
It was a great phase in Nigerian rap. Let me
it
just put it
was
let me put it that way.
absolutely. I
Yeah,
enjoyed it because I
yeah.
love Nigerian rap. You know, I
Mm,
love Nigerian rap. Even though I listen to all kinds of music anyway,
yeah.
because I love music. My uncle got
Mm,
me into liking different kind of music, and my older sister. Then my uncle had a
mm.
radio. When he goes out, I go
Oh,
to his room. I
yeah.
pick the cassette. I start playing everything and Fela, bro, from
Oh,
Fela to Michael Jackson, bro. That's how
mm,
diverse his
yeah.
bro. So that's how I got my music taste. So the list is out. Barry, we have four midfielders. Four. Eric Chell invited four midfielders. And how many strikers? Eight, nine?
Nine.
And nine
Nine.
strikers. Tell me about that, please. Because it's
I mean, I think first of all, we I honestly I feel like the list speaks for itself. I think at the end of the day, you already know how he wants to set up with the diamond formation. However, considering how the team has struggled with it, you would think that by this time, maybe he'll try and switch things up. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. It seems like Eric Shell is the African version of Ruben Amorim, and he's sticking to his system, even though
guns.
he's going to sink him. And I think what makes it more ridiculous now is the fact that I think Nigeria have now been given a slim chance of qualifying, considering the fact that South Africa have been deducted 3 points for fielding an ineligible player in
Mm-hmm.
a game against Lesotho. You know, so Nigeria now have 11 points. South Africa are back to 14 points, level on points with Benin Republic at the top, and then
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria is third, with 11 points.
11 points,
Rwanda is
yeah.
behind Nigeria as well with 11 points,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think it's then I think it's then Lesotho maybe with 9 points.
Yeah.
So it's still a tough group. That's just the truth. Even though we know that the Super Eagles need to win their next two games, because if they do win their next two games, they obviously give themselves a chance of qualifying. The next two games are actually against Benin Republic and Lesotho.
And yeah.
So
And at home. And okay,
yes,
no, Lesotho is
yeah,
away, Benin Republic at home, right? Is that
exactly.
how the fixture
Yeah,
is?
correct, correct.
Yeah.
So and let's not forget, it's the former coach of the Super Eagles. Excuse me,
Gonna
the former
throw.
Super Eagles coach Genotro. He's the one who's coaching Benin Republic. And when we met them at the Afcon, was it no? It wasn't the Afcon qualifier. It was the first leg when we met them at the first leg of
We,
of
we,
the
we played them in the
of
AFCON
qualifiers.
qualifiers as well.
We met them in the Afcon qualifiers, but we beat them,
Yeah.
thankfully. But
Yeah.
for the World Cup qualifiers, I think they actually beat us in the first game, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. I think it was one
Yeah.
nil or so.
Yeah.
So these are not going to be easy games. That's just the truth. And Lesotho is going to keep fighting till the very end. That's just the type of team I've seen them to be. Even though they might not be up to the standard of the opposition, they will
Mm.
keep fighting and playing. And then what happens when you have a Super Eagles squad that seems not to be ready to do everything to qualify? It will be a problem, because in the game against South Africa, the last game that they played, which was I think was a 1-all draw,
Yeah.
it seemed to me that the players were not urgent. There seemed to be a lack of urgency until they considered the goal. After they considered the
I
goal, they
but
now started doing everything they could to
yeah, they could
to to
to win
equalize.
the
But
game.
if they had avoided conceding that goal in the first place, the game could have gone in a different direction. All these
But
little
Barry,
details matter.
the only reason why I can't really, back you on that one is because that pitch was terrible. It was an absolute
Yeah,
terrible
yeah,
pitch to
oh,
play on.
yes, true, true.
South
The,
Africa
the, the
knew
pitch
what
was
they were
terrible, that's
doing.
okay. But I just want to
Yeah.
point out something. I'm talking about, it's one thing for you to be set back. It's one thing for you to have obstacles. But if you as an individual, if you are committed to overcome those obstacles,
Yeah.
you would have there's a high percent chance of a success rate.
Yeah. But
So
what if the
I'm talking
obstacle
about
now, the
what I saw in
obstacle,
terms of the body
the
language and the
obstacle they
countenance of the players.
yeah. But what if now the obstacle is outweighs your drive or the strength, wherever that strength is coming from? Because there are instances where the obstacle could be more than that. And I think the condition of that pitch was such a bad obstacle that the players, all our players play in Europe, they're used to
True.
smooth and amazing football pitches. It was always going to be
Mm,
difficult, always. You
mm,
know, it's not
mm,
an easy obstacle to get off. But I understand where you're coming
mm,
from. If you want it bad enough, you would still perform, you know.
mm,
But
mm.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think another thing at this point in time is fine. We've lost Dele Bashiru, we've lost Rafael Onyedika, and for he then goes ahead to recruit two players that number one, Alassane Yusuf did not really have a good time with the Eagles. Alassane Yusuf has not been in good form. You go ahead and call him back, and then there's a wild
Mm,
card and Olakunle Olusegun, who has
mm,
never made a debut for the Super Eagles. And rumor has it that I'm going to say this on this platform because nobody's going to hold me. Rumor has it that Olakunle Olusegun being
Super
in the Super
Eagles.
Eagles team is based on rackets.
Yeah.
Person run them. You get what I mean? I'll just leave it at
Yeah.
that. But that's ridiculous considering how important these next
Important
two
the
games
games
are.
are.
You still
Mhm.
have Nigerians doing Nigerian politics at the
Yeah.
expense of our chances of qualifying for the
Yeah.
World Cup. It is absolutely ridiculous. Because for
It
the love
is.
of God, we've still got good players out there that could have come into this team to do something good. There's Ibrahim Olawoni of Rizespor
Mhm.
playing in Turkey. He's a fantastic midfielder. The
I
last
think
time he was
he's been invited to the Super Eagles before. I think I've seen him
yes, he has
play.
been invited before, but you know
Yeah.
what? The last time that he was even invited under Finidi George, number one,
Mm,
he was played out of position. Number two, he wasn't even given enough time to possibly make an impact in the game. And I
mm.
feel like that's a player that has been in good form for Razor Sports thus far in this season. And he's someone who can, for me, I think after Dele Bashiru, I think he's my next favorite box to box
Nigerian
midfielder
midfielder.
for Nigeria at the moment.
Mm.
Um, so I mean, the selection is just mind-boggling. And then again, in terms of the strikers, most as some of these players are not going to play. You call up a Terry Murphy. Fine, good enough. Terry Murphy has been in decent form since coming back from injury,
Injury.
from his
Yeah.
ACL injury. However,
Mm-hmm.
if any smart person is noticing the way Terry Murphy has been playing, he has been eased into the Nice squad strategically. He's still not completing 90 minutes because it's not easy to just recover from an ACL injury and get
And then go
and hit the
straight into
ground
90
running.
minutes. Mm-hmm.
Not every player, it's not easy for every player just like that. And then, he's been managed. But my point about Terry Murphy is that the match rhythm and level of fitness of Terry Murphy as compared to the other players, there's going to be a huge difference. It's going to be lacking. And you
Mm.
can't blame Terem. It's just due to what has happened and him trying to get back into proper shape. Then you've got Akko Adams as well, who was called up, who has only scored
Yeah.
one goal in two games, which is fair enough for him. He started off the season being
Then
injured, and
it's the-
the better part of last season as well was terrible for him. But my point is
Yeah.
that you call these two strikers, and the truth is that there's really nothing they can offer. Same with Cyril Desas. Desas had a terrible time. I think it's high time that we just put our hands up and say that look, Cyril Desas is a typical English striker.
Striker.
He's
Yeah.
not going to fight for the ball the way Victor Osimhen would fight for it. He needs
Yeah.
service. And
Yeah.
whenever we find ourselves in situations whereby the pitch is not necessarily the best, it's going to be difficult to serve a player like that, um, you know, with the ball on the ground. And for me, I think Paul Onuachu, even though I'm not a big fan of Paul Onuachu, but considering the way Eric Shell likes to play, considering what I've seen him do with Osimhen and Aroko Dare, I think Onuachu honestly should have been called up instead of Terem Murphy and Akko Adams.
How
That's
about
just my own
even the guy
opinion.
that plays
So
for Rose Sedat, Sadiq Umar?
Sadiq Umar
Not not a bad
is
shout
good,
either.
but Sadiq Umar has not been in good form. That's just the truth. Sadiq
Okay,
Umar has
fair,
not been
fair
in good
enough.
form.
He hasn't been
Yeah,
starting for Race to say that either, so that's
exactly,
understandable.
exactly. So I went
Mm,
for Onuachu because he has been playing regularly and he is in good form. He's got 3 goals in 5 games thus far this season. So for me, when it comes to player selection for tournaments and especially for your country as well, for me it has to be based on form. It has to be
mm,
based on present form. I really, yes, you will say that you always want to have a spine in your team.
mm,
However, there will come situations whereby for me, I think I would rather just take form at that point in time
yeah,
over wanting a regular face
yeah,
because
yeah,
you've got limited time to make an impact when it comes
hmm
to a tournament.
yeah.
You need to consider that. I mean, what
And
really is
of
your
this,
mindset?
you know what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, are you
the,
trying to win? Are you actually trying to win?
bro. At this point, we might just have to call Mikel out of retirement. Ndidi, Iwobi, and Frank Onyeka. That has never been a decent midfield for us. It has always been a
Mm,
patch and patch with Jose Pizarro. He had to play a back five just to make up for that lackluster midfield, if I may. To get
mm,
just to keep,
yeah,
and how are we winning games? 1-0. We wanted to use Haram ball to go and win that Nations Cup. We're almost going to win it with Haram ball. Do you get? We're in
mm,
the best team, in
mm.
all honesty. Even Equatorial Guinea, what was this other team name that had fine girls? It's Cape Verde.
Cape
Cape Verde.
Verde.
They even played better football than us. They entertained
Yeah.
us on and off the pitch.
Mm,
You get?
mm.
So that midfield, I don't understand, is a big problem. We need our scouts, we need the NFF to do something about that. I don't think we're going to the World Cup. Is a hard pill to swallow because um Gonatro is not going to lose this opportunity.
Of
He's not.
course.
He's on top of the table. He's not going
Mm,
to. He will easily come to Nigeria and get a draw. He knows these
mm,
players. He knows that they are not
mm,
good. They are not creative enough. Hold
mm.
Osimhen. That's it. Hold
Yeah,
Osimhen. That's
and
it.
even
Nothing
and
happens.
even with Victor Osimhen, I think him even being present is still going to be 50-50 because his
He
fitness is
hasn't.
being monitored at the moment.
Mhm. Yeah,
If you notice in the game against Liverpool that him
bro.
scoring the winning penalty, there was a
Mm.
time when he went down and he was holding
Yeah.
his left groin. So
Hmm.
and then obviously he had to be subbed off. Mario Icardi came on. So Osimhen honestly is being managed, and so we're not really sure if he's going to be there. And when he does come, we don't know if we're getting 100% fit with Osimhen. And honestly, Osimhen cannot do it on his own.
Hmm.
Him always laboring is not fair on him. I think his
Yeah.
teammates need to work at that frequency that he does work at, or simply, let's set up the team in a way that will complement our best players. You were saying that you're not pleased with the type of midfield we have now, and in terms of obviously, I don't blame you because you've seen the best of the Super Eagles in time past.
Hmm.
Especially in the late 90s, and we've had fantastic midfielders.
Yeah.
However, even with the current personnel that we do have in terms of options for midfield, I do believe that there are several ways that this team could still set up to be
And play
good
better football and
and play
complement
better. But
themselves.
yes, exactly.
Mm.
But the current formation, the diamond, the four one
The
two
Diamond
one,
442. Yeah.
it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. Playing Alex Iwobi as one of the central midfielders does not make sense. It doesn't work. Alex Iwobi is who he is today because he first of all broke in as a winger and he's respected as a winger. Look at the good work he's doing for Fulham. He's
Mm.
playing on the left wing. Yes, we have um, competition on the wings as well, but he can also play as a
Mhm.
10,
Yeah.
not a number 8.
Yeah.
Put a double pivot behind him. Yes,
Yeah.
he's probably our most creative player, but put a double pivot behind him of a good pairing of probably Franco Yeka and Ndidi at this point in time, considering
Hmm.
the 23-man squad, right?
Yeah.
If you do that, we would play much better. We play with a double pivot. We also give a bit more license to our fullbacks to do a bit more damage. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's just that Eric Shell is going to play the game the way he wants it to
The
be
way he
played,
wants. Yeah.
and it's quite obvious that it's either his way or the highway. Sad. But
It's
I
really
think
sad.
there are a lot of things that have resulted in this. First of all, the fact that the NFF is incompetent.
Yeah.
Let's even start from there, and then the incompetency of the NFF are also results of why the last two coaches were terrible. That's just the truth. And I think, me saying terrible, maybe that might be harsh on Finidi because the truth is that Finidi
Mhm.
was handicapped. He
Yeah.
didn't even have a contract
Anytime. Yeah.
to start with, and he wasn't equipped with coaches as well. So it's been a difficult time. And I think what is happening to the Super Eagles is also a reflection of
The
Nigeria as
state
a
of the
state.
country. Yeah.
Sad, tough pill to swallow, but
Hmm.
hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, but we're all hoping that a miracle can happen and the boys can turn up and believe that okay, this is our last chance of playing in the World Cup. The likes of
Mm,
Osimhen and indeed these players take it upon themselves and give your best. Try to win the game because if we can
mm,
get a win against Benin, it puts us in a really good position. It puts us in a really okay. The game is Lesotho first away. I don't even know if we can beat Lesotho away. We drew to them here in Nigeria. I don't know their teammates. I'm teammates. I don't know the players. I don't know Lesotho's players, but
mm.
there's just I don't know if it's just me, but I don't have confidence in this team, Barry. Imagine we go to Lesotho and then we draw, or something happens. They don't win convincingly, right? And we're playing Benin at home. It's going to give the fans something to not want to even go to the games or support with
Mm.
full energy and full vibe and everything, So they need to play very well against Lesotho, beat them well, so the fans can know that, okay, you know what? We've seen that you guys want this and we want it too. So we are going to come out in numbers against Benin and help you win this game and be that tough man that you need. But they have to give these fans the reason. They have to give us the reason to do that for them. And they don't do that. Eric Chell, like you said, he's the Ruben Amorim. He's God. The decisions he makes sometimes, you just think what is going on. The substitutions, the positions yeah. You know
It's
what? Yeah,
crazy. It's crazy because even the game against South Africa, Christantos Uche was in good form. Everyone knew that,
mhm,
and we know his current position. He's a
mhm,
forward for crying out loud. Only for you to bring him on and play him as the anchor in midfield.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy, and you could even see
yeah,
it from his performance that look, he didn't even want to sit. There were times where
mhm,
he was making runs into the box, trying to carry the ball, and then
yeah.
obviously he had to leave Alex Iwobi there, and it was very easy for South Africa to start counter attacks again. And in my head, I'm thinking, is Eric
What's
Shell
going on,
thinking? Is he watching?
bro? And
It's sad.
it's a funny thing for me, but I would really like to see Chris Santos Uche start. I would really
Mm,
like to see him start. And is he
yeah,
even here? He's not even here.
he
He's
didn't
not
make
here.
the yeah, he didn't make the 23. Mm.
Is he injured?
No, he's
I
not.
don't.
He's not.
Wow. Eric Chair,
He's not.
wow. Wow. Well done.
Imagine
And
dropping Chris Santos Uche and calling up
Colin,
Alassane Yusuf.
bro, bro. Yeah, it's going to be a difficult period for us.
Mm,
But I think a lot of Nigerians have already like considered that okay, it is what it is. We're probably not going to watch our nation in the World Cup. And it's almost like some of the players have lost faith as well. You know, the last episode, the last time we talked about the Super
mm,
Eagles, where I tried to point out about wanting more players that are not in it boys. It's not like I don't want the in it boys to play; they have quality, but for some reason, I just feel like it is part of the problem. I might be wrong,
mm,
but I just feel like it is part of the problem. I don't have any statistics to back it up. I don't,
mm.
but understanding how these guys here think and how our brothers in Nigeria think, there's always going to be a contrast in relationship in the dressing room. You know, only Genetro has, and if a manager like Rob Pissarro was able to get something out of them, he was able to, because obviously
So
he's Portuguese.
actually, that's okay. let me speak to that actually. Let me speak to that because um, the vibe in the squad is always good. The relationship
Mhm.
in the squad is always good.
Yeah.
Um, yes, you will always see segregations. It's normal
Hmm.
with human beings, but
Yeah.
honestly, there's unity. And
Mm.
if we think about it, these players from the diaspora, they have, aside Victor Osimhen, these players have been the major differences for us in recent times.
Hmm.
And I think it's only just recently that after since Eyama retired, we had a decent spell with Francis Uzoho,
Yeah.
but we can see that Wambali is even much better than Uzoho.
So
But
yeah.
to speak to the core of the team that has been helping us, Ola Aino, Alex Iwobi, obviously,
Mm.
Trust Ekong, Basi has
Hmm.
been a rock for us at the back.
He has.
Um,
I totally
Vitus
agree.
Ayi Samuel has been decent when he has played for us.
Mm.
Um, who else? Ademola Lukman.
Lookman. Hmm.
That was one of our best players at the AFCON where we
Yeah.
finished second. So
Yeah. hundred
for me,
percent.
I don't share your sentiments in the sense that
Mm.
maybe having the Init boys has affected the team. I don't think so. For me, I think the major problem has always been good coaching.
True.
I
True.
think
Yeah.
that's where the Super Eagles have always lacked because
Yeah. Yeah.
the NFF
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
always
remember now. Yeah.
the NFF has a terrible budget. Maybe I won't even say
Mm.
they have a terrible budget, but what is being executed is terrible because you've got some very greedy people who just want to keep feeding fat and they don't really care about the success of
Accomplishments of the
the team.
team.
That's just the truth.
Mm.
Let me share a story with you, a sad one. It's funny, but it's a sad one, and it's about Jose Pesero. I remember when Jose Pesero was about to be not about to be when he was announced as a coach of Nigeria. On
Mm.
that faithful, so he was announced on a Sunday. I remember very well. Announced on a Sunday. On Monday, I think this happened on Tuesday. It was on Tuesday. I was running. I was doing my masters at that time, and then on
Yeah.
Tuesday I got to class, and then I've got this Portuguese pal, um, very good friend of mine, Antonio, and then immediately Antonio saw me. The first thing he did that day was to
Yeah.
laugh, and I'm like, bro, what's going on? Why are you laughing? He was like, did you he was like, have you heard the news about the
News.
coach that your team just hired? I was like, yeah, Jose Pesero, yeah, he's Portuguese. What about him?
Yeah.
He said, bro, your country just hired the most popular meme in Portuguese football.
Wow.
The most popular meme. Jose Pesero in Portugal
Wow.
was known
Yes.
for taking charge of teams and making them worse than they are.
Was.
That was the
Mm.
record of Jose
Mm.
Pesero. And that is the type of coach that Nigeria went
Nigeria
for.
went to.
That's the type of coach that they hired. Even Eric Shell, it's not like Eric Shell has won anything in African football. He just had a
Nothing.
decent stint with a Mali team, which
Mm.
for me, in thinking retrospectively, I think he also stifled that team because they had
Mm.
very good players and they could have played much better without playing in a diamond.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and only for Nigeria to go ahead and get him again. And I already explained the situation with Finidi. Finidi was handicapped, and I think honestly, Finidi was set up. I'm not
Mm.
saying that if Finidi was well equipped, I'm not saying maybe
Yeah.
it's
He's.
automatically sure that we're going to qualify and whatnot. But with Finidi, there was a clear blueprint on the way the team was playing.
Yeah.
Even when they still maintained a back five, the sequence of play was different because the coach
Mm.
is tactically sound.
Yeah.
It was so obvious for me. So at the end of the day, Nigeria's issues is still down to those who hold the
Who?
power.
Yeah.
They are more interested in feeding fats and they don't
Mm.
really care about what happens on the pitch. Sadly.
Yeah. And you don't expect the players to, when they are seeing everything that's happening around them, they are not going to be motivated to go and give their all, even though they want to. When they think about it, they be like, you know what, it is what it is. Say halfway through the
Yeah.
game, 60,
Yeah.
70 minutes, if nothing is happening, those kind of thoughts will start to creep into their heads, and they start to think, why are we even doing this? Is it even worth it at the end of the
Mm,
day? Those men upstairs, they don't
mm,
care. So why are we here killing ourselves, playing in this horrible pitch and everything? you
mm,
know
yeah.
but anyways, like I said, let's just hope that something miraculous happen. I don't like BJ was saying. He thinks Zimbabwe will just hand the win over to South Africa. you know,
Abi, that's okay. Do you know something else that is mind-boggling to me? You know, you mentioned the state of the pitch that Nigeria played on against South Africa.
yeah,
Why didn't the NFF even bother to lodge a complaint?
yeah.
Why did they agree
Honestly,
to
yeah,
play that
to play
match
on that
there?
pitch, yeah,
Why did all the members in the group,
yeah,
why was everybody agreeing to
to play there
Lesotho and Zimbabwe playing matches in South
in
Africa
South
against
Africa.
South Africa?
Mm.
It makes no
They,
sense.
they, they probably
Also,
made the
just to show
complaint, but
you, just to
FIFA
buttress
might
how
occur.
lackadaisical.
Yeah, so what I'm
No,
saying is they
they
might
never
have
lodged a
logic.
complaint. If a complaint,
Mm.
if a complaint was lodged, if the complaint
Yeah,
was lodged, it would have been made public. That's the truth.
yeah,
It would have been made
yeah.
public. Also,
Fair
to just
enough.
further buttress how lackadaisical the NFF is, they waited for so long, or rather, they waited till FIFA initially released a list of issues, and when they saw that the South African issue was not addressed, that's when they now lodged a complaint to FIFA.
Yeah,
Since South Africa had played that match with an illegible player that was made known, it was made
yeah.
public. The NFF, if they were serious, they should have lodged a complaint immediately.
Immediately. Yeah,
And then in the month of September, or rather, or ending of August, those points would have been deducted since.
yeah.
But we
And
waited till it was quite clear that we were not going to qualify anymore.
and then they made the complaint.
You
But yeah,
understand? And even now that the points have been deducted, there's still no guarantee that we're
yeah,
going
there's
to
still no
qualify.
guarantee. Yeah, we don't have anyone to blame but ourselves, Barry. We can't blame. We can't start looking at points. Do we want to qualify to the World Cup by points being deducted from South Africa? Is that how we want to be qualifying for World Cup? It's just like when I'm playing football with my mates, and then there's one cheap penalty. They start shouting penalty. We start saying, "I so now want to score. Now penalty. Now want to score. Now no go play well. We cannot score." You know, it should never be up to this way. We have really good players, but like you've pointed out, and I totally agree, it's just the appointment of the wrong coaches that has been happening. They don't want to spend money on decent coaches that would come and do the job, because we have high profile players that is not any Eric Chell or Jose Pizarro that will come and handle them. I don't know how Gonetro
Yeah.
did it, but he did an amazing job. He's a top manager. For me, I think apart from, of course, late the big one,
Yeah. Stephen Keshi.
Stephen Keshi. Apart from outside Stephen Keshi, I think the best manager I've seen for the Super Eagles has to be Gonetro. Where I enjoyed the football and see that, okay, we are going somewhere. Everything was easy. Qualify for the World Cup, Nations Cup, everything was just smooth. We played against a very good nation. Was it Algeria that beat us in the final?
Yeah, exactly. It was Algeria.
They were very good. The free kick from Mahrez, what a goal to get. So, and we still, if they had played that game for, I would say, even 5 more minutes, we would have gone on to score and take it to extra time or penalties. But it is what it is. Let's see. Hopefully, Eric Chell has a plan with this player that is invited, which I don't think is like Amorim. We always think maybe he has a plan. Maybe he has a plan. He has nothing. There's no plan. Is that same Diamond that is going to go and play? This man, it seems like he doesn't even want to go to the World Cup. Because if you really want to go to the World Cup, you would from the players you're selecting will know that you really want to do this. If you don't have options for me, are you telling me now there are no midfielders, no midfield players for Super Eagles? That you can add one more midfielder and take out one, so there are none. Anywhere, Celtic.
No, well, actually, that's okay.
Anywhere
now
in
that
Europe.
we're dissecting and I think about it a bit, let's not also forget that Eric Shell uses wingers as well for his diamond. On the right
on the
and
side
left
of
side, he prefers to start with wingers.
Yeah,
exactly. Sometimes he decides to start with the likes of
okay. Yeah,
Simon
that
and
makes
Chukwueze.
sense now.
That's what he began with. So we would see that happen again. Obviously, we will see that happen again. We will see the team also drift back into a 4-4-2 at some point in the game,
Mm.
you know.
And yeah,
And
and
then
that
you
reminds
have
me
two
of
natural wingers and two strikers.
yeah, and that reminds me of our player that is in Slovenia as well, Papa Daniel. I think
Yeah.
with with his performances at the Unity Cup, kind of,
Mm.
Eric Chell wasn't happy with them, and
Mm.
I think he wasn't hungry enough. He wasn't showing. There's the quality is there. He can play,
Mm.
but you have to show
Mm.
a bit of hunger. I watched him and I had a conversation with my sister. Then I said he's a good player, but I think the only thing missing in his game is that hunger.
For Papa Daniel, I think one his I think his body language is something that would always
Mhm.
trouble
A
people
manager, a
generally.
coach, 100%.
However,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. However, when it comes down to the performance at the end of the day, I think Papadan is actually a very, very decent midfielder, and I think he
Box to
does
box.
deserve. Yeah, and I think
Mm-hmm.
he does deserve a place in the Super Eagles squad.
Mm.
Maybe if I'm picking the best, personally from my own perspective, maybe if I'm picking the best 23-man squad for the Super Eagles, a team that
Yeah.
can possibly help us be successful. Maybe he might not make the cuts. He might not make
Yeah.
the cuts.
Mm.
However, he's a good player that you would want in your team because the quality is there. Also,
Mm.
you know, for the Unity Cup, because it was a friendly, it was postseason friendly. Some players
Mm.
would not have wanted to do too much. That's just the
Mm.
truth. Because if you remember
Yeah.
for the Unity Cup, the big name players were not available. All the
Yeah.
big shots were not available. We had more of a mix of the team B and
Yeah.
homegrown players.
Yeah.
That's basically what it
Absolutely.
was. But I mean, thank God for the Unity Cup because we saw um, probably the next best defender for Nigeria in years to
100%.
come. Talking about Benjamin Friedrichs, you know.
100%. Yeah.
So that was a good thing for us. But I do think Papadana is actually a good midfielder. I've seen a couple of his games with his current club in Slovenia, and
Mm.
he's playing in a similar position that he did play while playing for the Super Eagles. You know, playing at the base of a diamond midfield. So I mean, for the Slovenian team, they play 4-3-3.
Yeah.
However, in their tactical setup, he
Yeah.
usually finds himself in a box in
Playing
the
deeper.
midfield, and he's always at the
Mm.
base. Exactly, he's
Yeah.
always at the base. So I
Mm.
think Papadena has good quality. I just feel like, you know, another thing was that when he actually played in the Unity Cup, he was playing more on the left,
Yeah. He played on the
you know,
left. Yeah.
and then that team, the Unity Cup team, is not a team that has been playing together for long.
Mm.
So I do understand where you're coming from, but I think it's more of your interpretation of the body language of Papa
Mm.
Daniel.
Yeah.
You know, but
100%.
I do think that is a quality
If
player
you
that
can
we
look
might see.
past, yeah, if you can look past the body language and just focus on what he does on the pitch, what he does with the ball,
Mm,
then maybe you have a
mm,
better idea on the kind of player that he is, you know. So I
yeah.
totally understand. Hopefully,
Mm.
yeah, if we don't make this World Cup, it's going to be mad, Sha. It's going to be sad, I swear. Second
It's going
time
to
back
be
to back.
sad. It's going to be a
Ah,
disaster because
bro, it's
when you
real
take a
oh,
look at the plethora of quality players that we have
that we
now,
have.
it's
Honestly,
embarrassing. It's
I,
embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. And then when you then think in 4 years' time, where are
mm,
these players going to be? How old are they going to be?
yeah.
What's the guarantee that they will be as good as they are
As,
right
as,
now?
yeah.
And then
Anyways,
we know
nice.
that Nigeria is obviously not a country that really plans
Mm,
ahead for the future. So
yeah.
there's no succession. It seems to me that we will continue to
Goes
go
to
round in a
round the
limbo. But
circle.
hey,
Yeah.
it is what
Anyways,
it is.
to round the episode, Barry, do you have predictions for the game? Away to Lesotho and home to Benin 4 days later.
As I was saying, this prediction I'm about to make is not based on form, it's not
Mm,
based on practical knowledge either. It's based on hope as a Nigerian. So I'm hoping that the game against Lesotho, I'm hoping it's a 4-0 victory because we do need the goal difference to help us as well. The goal
mm,
difference is the reason why Benin Republic is currently first and not South Africa, even though they are level on points. So
mm.
we need those goals. So I'm hoping for a 4-0 victory against Lesotho. And then against Benin Republic, I'm hoping for a 3-1 victory or a 2-1 victory. Hopefully, that's what
Hopefully.
happens.
Yeah, hopefully it's the same. I just need us to win both games.